Live Nation 254, the fastest digital news.
You may not know, appointment of cabinet secretaries or ministers is a prerogative of the president. And it is only him who can be able to tell Kenyans why has it taken long for that appointment to happen, because nobody else has that capacity of appointing one, or we don't have a provision that it must be occupied or appointed by this time. So I think we can just live and see. We are all at a wait and see situation. Thank you. That question. In the Anglican Church, we have already given guidelines on how to handle politicians in our churches, and I'm on record that we don't allow politicians the podium to speak in the church. And even last Sunday, I was in a gathering and politicians were there, and we did not allow them. But as Archbishop, I cannot be policing every local church what happens. And what happened in Bungoma was unfortunate, because it was like a display of trying to see what William can do following what the decision made by the Catholics. All I can say is that bishops run dioceses with a high level of autonomy, and individual decision by bishops, we leave to them to make their decisions. But our guidelines is that anyone who bring any donation to the church should not be allowed to be a kind of a promotion of self by announcing. People can come and give their tithe as tithe without any mention, and you have no problem with that. But the problem is when it is used for announcements and promotion of one name or another name. But as a church, we will continue. You make a policy, and it will always take time for the policy to be fully implemented in every congregation, in every place. But the guidelines of the Anglican Church are very clear, that the church and the pulpit is for propagation of the gospel and not for political expediency. Thank you.
Maybe Archbishop, we have seen
every election turn up and vote in large numbers, and they put in place a government. So we give credits to the people, and our hope as the church is the people of Kenya. And that is why our pastoral letter today is addressed to the people of Kenya. Number two, our hope is in Article 1 of the Constitution. We have our Constitution that we gave to ourselves in 2010. And the first article talks about the sovereignty of the people. What we ask in Kenyans is to know that they are the sovereign, they are the kings, and the elected leaders are their servants. They are the citizens of Kenya are the masters, and the elected leaders are their servants. That is the message we are sending to Kenyans, so that they can seize the moment, and that is where our hope lies. And we continue to have hope also in God, who takes care of all of us. You have asked about political intolerance. It is true that we have seen that after the impeachment of the former deputy president, there has been a sense of intolerance. We want to ask the political leaders in this country that none of them is sovereign. It is the people of Kenya that are sovereign. And every politician in this country and every Kenyan is free to associate with others and to address the public as long as they are not breaking the law. Therefore, the kind of intolerance that we see in the language of the leaders, both in the minority and the majority, and some parts of elements of the majority party, which is the UDA, they are unacceptable, and we ask them to do their politics at their level as political leaders, but leave the people of Kenya to run their lives in peace, and to stop issuing statements that are inflammatory, and to know that the future of Kenya lies in the government of the day securing the country. We also want to send a message to our churches to always manage some of these funerals together with the police, to make sure that some of this infiltration by gangs and goons do not happen again. We believe that we have a good country, and if we have tolerance, we can have a peaceful country for all of us. But no one should be gagged or prevented from accessing any part of the country, whether they are church leaders or they are politicians. That's the freedom that the Constitution of Kenya guarantees everybody. And we don't have to like each other, but we need to live with each other as citizens of the Republic of Kenya. I'll pass on the mic to the Archbishop to answer the other.
Best question you should be asking is whether the church is going to stop talking. The church is not going to be silenced. The church will point out the wrongs in the society. We are Kenyans. We are also leaders in this country. And so whenever it calls for our voice, we will raise our voices. And whenever it calls for our actions, we will also be involved in those actions. So we request all Kenyans to just remain on alert and read our pastoral letter that we have given to them so that they become in charge. Article 1 says the sovereignty of this country is in the hands of the citizens. So we want to ask leaders to listen and listen and listen to the voices that are pointing out to whatever is being raised. Thank you.
So thank you very much. I've seen in the country a situation where there is a tendency, especially for our political leaders, to tell and peddle a lot of falsehoods and lies and disinformation. And as members of the NCSK, we are saying, we are asking Kenyans to listen with one ear, but also to verify. Everything must be verified. And although leaders are supposed to speak the truth, honorable leaders are supposed to speak the truth. We are asking Kenyans, because we have seen a tendency to speak lies, that they should verify everything their political leaders tell them. The other issue is the church. We see, as the church and as NCSK, we have a lot of hope for Kenya. We have churches, and our member churches, which are about 50, have about 17 million Kenyans who attend their services regularly. So through our local churches, we are going to continue encouraging Kenyans to have hope, because there is a lot of depression that is affecting Kenyans. We also continue to support our, to speak from the pulpit, speak about justice and to preach to the people and to nurture their spiritual needs. So that's something that we have been doing and we continue to do, and we are not going to relent on that. So that is why we want Kenyans to have agency and to speak for themselves, because they are the ones who are sovereign, and they are the ones who the Constitution identifies. The government is a creature of the Constitution that was created by the people. And therefore, as an instrument created by the people, it cannot oppress or subjugate them, because Kenya is a constitutional democracy and will continue to safeguard that. But that cannot be safeguarded by the church alone. The citizens are the bedrock of democracy. Every Kenyan, we want to tell every Kenyan that they are born into the office of the citizen. We are born into it, and even when we live in it. Let us exercise the powers of the office of the citizen. One of them is to speak up. One of them is to stand up and be seen. One of them is to ensure that they do not allow themselves to be oppressed. And that is the message that we continue preaching from the churches. Thank you.